much work in this pandemic period. You kind of sounds like fought through a lot of the struggle of putting it together beforehand, but was there any kind of hindsight with what we were going through in the last year and a half that you brought to the project with that extra time?
Yeah, we tried to gear, I mean, on one tidbit, we definitely are, we've always been unapologetically African American or Black, whatever the PC term is. Now it's a little more.
Whatever you want to say, right? It's your fucking words.
I mean, you might get cancer for anything, but we're unapologetically now. It's freeing to see more people of color around. It's like, oh, I could make this style and say this and do these things because there's other people around us that are, coming out of the woodworks.
Yeah, I feel like, so there's like the pandemic side of just like everyone's in the same boat, but then with all the like racial tension and then, the BLM stuff, George Floyd.
You guys were in LA too. I mean, that was like a hotbed for the protests and just crazy shit going down.
Stuff. Yeah. That stuff was like, it really hit us hard. And these are conversations that we've had with each other and other Black folk and allies. And it's kind of like, this is stuff that we've been talking about for a long time. It's not a new thing for us. It's just, it's just been around and it's been downplayed. But I think since last year, the conversation piece is there. Like everyone's talking about it and we feel like a sense of relief that we can like express ourselves genuinely about, these matters.
Yeah.
So
it's like someone broke the dam and now we can just speak freely about what in the fuck is going on.
So especially in the dance music scene.
Yes, that's what I was going to say. Like,
the whole dance music scene, like since we've been in it a while, we've kind of experienced, a lot as Black guys in this. And we're finally able to talk about that kind of stuff with dance music, like feeling like an outcast or having little comments, like people at shows might say like little things, making us feel weird about like being Black, but in dance music, but not really understanding where house music comes from or where techno music comes from.
I was going to ask when you guys, we were talking about how a lot of your entry was similar to mine in this kind of blog house world. And were you even aware that this is Black culture to start with? Did you know that getting into it, or did you discover that later? Like, wait, what?
We knew that getting into it, but at the time, like we were running with our blog house friends, but we still knew that like Chicago house was like the staple, like, and we still went to shows like that. Like, we didn't like discriminate. Like electronic music was electronic music to us. Like we were, we might, our favorites were Justice, but we definitely knew that, like Chicago house and Detroit techno, like that's not going anywhere. And, but again, like how we talked about before, like prior to EDM, we didn't feel as much as an outcast back then as we did during EDM explosion. Now, it's like within the EDM explosion, we feel more like an outcast, which shouldn't be. It should be easier now. Like it's grown.
But it got so like bro-y, for lack of a better term, right? It definitely got like. I feel like when the term EDM came out, it was like now we can prescribe a uniform to it and like a demographic target, and we're going after this like tank frat bro and like the girl or whatever. And it's funny because I remember too that in the blog house days or whatever, everyone was wearing like neon American Apparel and all this shit, and like I remember my boyfriend at the time was like a big, purple skinny jeans type guy, and people, the same people, I'm not saying the same people, but the same type of person who would then one day, 4 years later, be at Ultra wearing that sort of stuff, would like be like faggot in the street or whatever, and like, sorry if that word made anyone feel a type of way, but like, it's just weird when you like, and I guess this is what's been happening forever and ever, especially with like the Black community and other communities or minorities or what have you. Even though I hate the term minority because it's like, who's a minority in the country anymore? It's not really white people are the majority. But anyway, and so I guess maybe that's an interesting lesson to like watch that happen in my lifetime. Like, oh, I see how someone takes something from someone else, and then next thing you know, no one even remembers that it came from the other thing, and like, I don't know. But I'm sorry that you guys had to like be like made to feel, after all of your time and dedication and hard work and winning the place that you had in a scene, sometimes feel like an outsider again. Like, that's so crazy. I guess that's the fucking music business, but what do you have to say?
It's weird. I mean, we're kind of used to it, but it's weird because we shouldn't be used to it.
Right.
Like, it shouldn't be something that you become accustomed to, because it really shouldn't happen like that. And like, we've got it all. We've done shows and people take photos and people write in comment sections, like, and we're just DJing. We're just DJing, and like they see our face and they're like shocked that there's a black face on an EDM label's Facebook page or something, and they're just so like
crazy, because I feel like, and this might also
the N-word thrown at us left and right. Like, we've seen it.
Okay, that maybe also. And thank you, Baby Wait, for subscribing. And Nightshade is saying that's brutal, and they're sorry to hear that you had to deal with this. Sales Miguel is saying that's so messed up, but it's interesting to also hear this because I'm lucky to live in a world that's pretty sheltered from people who are that fucking mean and wrong. And as a journalist, especially now, but even before now, it's like we've all been aware of these issues, and it's like trying to show. I feel like labels are always trying to kind of like prance about and be like, look, we have a black person on our label, and we have a woman too, and it's like, wow, you did such a great job. And then but then to like, I'm so used to that sort of silliness. And to hear that even then someone else is like going, why do you have one, is so fucking asinine. I'm just like, and my brain is breaking, and it was broken when I started the stream, but fucking A, man, that's crazy. But do you okay, so we had this year of this moment, this March of Reckoning last year, right? Or April, I think it was April, when George Floyd was murdered, right? And then people started taking to the streets, and then there was that blackout moment and all of the things. But now, as it's been a year from then, and people are starting to come out into the world, are you sensing any real change? Are you sensing people trying to make a change? Are you seeing any of that stuff people were kind of saying they wanted to do as artists?
Definitely, at least out here, people seem a little bit nicer. Some are in shell shock. Obviously, there's a lot of people you've seen that are just kind of like, oh, I'm outside. What the hell? Yeah. Other people have been nicer, and there are, close friends of ours that are taking that. They took that time to get their lives into a better place. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I feel like there is some sort of movement in that lane. There's not a lot. Like, it's not like, oh, everything is peachy now. Like, right. But I do see, just from last year to this year, there's a tone shift, like a subtle tone shift that it's making us feel a lot more welcomed in the community. Yeah. And, we're just able to like write music and express ourselves as who we are, and not have like our ethnicity be on display as this like thing that we need to like, look at. Like, what is that? Let's address the elephant in the room. Like, this is weird. Like, I feel like we feel a lot more comfortable than we did prior to all of this. Yeah.
Well, I'm happy to hear that because I think that, it's tough as a student of history, right? To like see these things happen and to just be like, well, everyone's making a real big ruckus right now, and I hope that something comes of it because it's not the first time we've had these conversations. Right. Generationally, we've been having these conversations, and there is like incremental change that happens.
Right.
But
it's weird that it takes so much to get so little change. It takes like a lot of chaos to get like those little incremental changes. But I mean, I guess we'll take whatever we can get.
Right.
We'll just keep pushing this rock inch by inch.
Exactly. Well, clearly, Blur